No matter what kind of projects you have around the shop, if you're looking for some tips and help, it's time for Sam's Garage, presented by Lund International, with Sam Mamolo and Sam Madavi.
All right, guys, now you cannot go around building a high horsepower machine like what we built here with the DS18 Project Supra and not think about safety. That's why we went ahead and installed the big stop tech brakes so we can stop on a dime when we're going fast and not on the streets, okay? And we're gonna be installing these RCI racing harnesses. These are the same harnesses that saved Jay Leno's life when he got into his wreck. These are 3-inch polyester webbing that reduces elongation under a load. And I'm gonna show you how to properly install these belts. This is a 5-point harness, and what makes the Platinum Series cool is that they have an expiration. These belts are SFI approved for NHRA drag racing, and they have an expiration date on them. All seat belts have expiration dates on them. But with the Platinum Series from RCI, you can send it in one time in 2 years at the expiration date, and they will renew your belts. They'll test them out and put a new expiration date on them, giving you 4 years of operation on these belts, okay? Now this is a 5-point harness, and they come with a quick latch release or a cam lock. In our case, it's a quick latch release. And we're gonna be installing a 4-point setup because this is a street car, and we're not gonna need the 5th, which is the crotch belt, okay? So we're gonna put that aside, and we're gonna go ahead and install our shoulder harnesses. Now, what you guys wanna do is take the shoulder harness, put it through your headrest, taking it out the back. And in our case, you guys are probably thinking, well, he's got no rear seats, because these things usually, the shoulder harness will bolt up to the rear seat belts. And whenever you're installing seat belts, you want to make sure that you try your best to go to the factory seat belt mounting locations, because they're going to be stronger from the factory and they're going to save your life and work proper in case of an accident. All right, we're going to go ahead and install this seat with the seat belts in place. You also want to remember that the buckle has a wire harness on it that tells the car when the passenger or driver has the seatbelt on. And that in most cars today will enable the SRS system to function. So you guys want to make sure to either take out the bulb or maybe even run a wire and loop that connector so that it sees a closed circuit, and that way the SRS will work in the late model car and the chime and the seatbelt light will turn off, just like if it was normal, all right? Now, you want to go ahead and install the seat in the factory location so that we can put our front ones in. Okay, now the driver's seat is electric, so you got to make sure to keep the power on, key on, so that you can actually adjust the seat back so you can get to all, in this case, 5 bolts. Most seats are in with 4 bolts, okay? Don't forget to go back and tighten the first set of bolts that you installed. And then once the shoulder harnesses are attached to the bar, you put it all together, put your pieces together just like this, all right? Go to the receiver buckle, undo it, put them together just like this. This goes through here, this goes under here, and hooks in place just like that. And now you're nice and safe, and you can adjust it like this. And then once your back brackets are on the bar, you can adjust it and make it even tighter. All right, guys, now when you're building a monster car like this with 800 plus horsepower, you want to make sure to get yourself a nice set of racing harnesses like we have here from RCI to keep you guys safe.
Sam's Garage, presented by Lund International, is being brought to you by Low Car Performance Products. Quality, plain and simple. Stage 8, the world's best locking fastener. Brothers Truck Parts, your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GM truck restoration. Lund International, make it yours with Lund Truck Accessories. Rod End Supply, we don't just sell them, we race them. Welcome to the Brothers Truck Parts Workshop.
Hey guys, we're going to show you how to do some body work, especially some rust repair. Now I don't know much about body work, but I can do some welding. So I got Steve from Brothers here to show us exactly what we're going to be able to do.
So I see that somebody's already scribed a line here on our fender, and I assume that they've ran this patch up on the fender like so and scribed that. This is a common mistake people make. What you want to do when you're doing rust repair is take out the minimal amount of metal possible. You don't want to go replacing this whole panel when all of this metal is still good. And in this case, this fender had a molding on it, and ideally, you'd want to hide your seam behind the molding if you can, so you don't have a bunch of work to do to make that panel straight again. So in this case, that's a common mistake. Don't do that. When you're doing rust repair, you want to do the minimal amount of removal as possible to get rid of your rust and use all your original metal. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to fix this front piece today. And normally I'd say to start this, we'd take a measuring tape and run it up here and get a measurement so we can see how far up to cut by using this as a guide of how long this is. But this panel is so messed up, we're going to have to eyeball it. So we're going to nibble a little off by eye, figure out how far we have to go until we can butt this up. And it's always good to do a butt seam, not an overlap, because if you do an overlap, you're going to do a lot of body work to hide that. So, a couple of the tools you're going to need, some clamps to hold your stuff in place, hammers. We're going to use this sledge as a dolly, and then we're going to use the zip wheel to cut this off. So you ready to get working?
Yes, sir. I'm going to go ahead and get to the air. We'll start cutting.
Right on. All right, we've gone ahead, laid a masking tape stripe on there, so Sam here has something to follow, and he's just going to hack the end of this fender right off. Now that we've got some of the paint ground off, got our panel in place, clamped it where we like it, what Sam's doing is he's tacking it, take another look at if we like the fitment. If we do, we're gonna start stitching it together. You don't wanna weld all in a straight line because you'll heat the panel and warp it. So what Sam's gonna do is go about every inch. He's gonna put a stitch weld on, then we'll go back to the beginning, put a weld, put a weld, put a weld, until we have a complete weld all the way end to end. But you never want to weld too long in one spot because you'll end up burning the panel and warping it. So tell me what you did.
First, we got rid of the rust. What did we do? We cut out the old piece, and we used the old piece to set up our welder, because when you're welding with thin metal like this, you want to make sure that the heat range on the welder is proper. You can use the old piece as practice so you know that you've got the heat range correct. Then you can go on to your new piece. We've butted it together, and then we put a little spot weld. We noticed that our weld was too hot, so we turned down the welder, we went to an alternate spot and put a spot there. Realized it was good, and so we put spots on alternate points of the metal, making sure it does not get too hot and warp. That way we're able to make a nice seam across our butt weld, and then we went back and we grinded it down smooth, and then we sanded the grind down, and then what Steve did was he put a little preventive rust paint on there because we're going to be doing some body work later. We don't want new rust to occur.
That's right. We have a lot more work to do, but right now we're working with fresh metal. We got all of our rust taken care of, and we can go on to the next step. But hey, look, one step at a time.
Absolutely.
This is the DS18 Project Supra.
Well, folks, we just got our car back from Vic and Alpha over at Induction Performance. They did a final tune on it, and I want to say thank you for that. And you guys, check out this car. I mean, look at this. What Sticker Dudes did with the wrap, looks absolutely phenomenal. This is what we do every day at Madavi Motorsports. We build cars like this, and this is a Toyota Supra. This thing's gonna make 800 to 1,000 crank horsepower. That's a lot of power. If it wasn't for Nate at Tremec for supplying us with the Magnum 6-speed, wouldn't be possible. Grannis Racing gave us the awesome kit to allow us to bolt that Tremec in. And if it wasn't for OS Geiken and the clutch and differential, we wouldn't be able to put down that power. So this is gonna be awesome. DS18 did such a cool job with the stereo system. It is phenomenal. The brakes from StopTech, they're gonna really stop this car because, let's get this straight, this thing's gonna make 600 conservatively to the wheels. So you know the owner is gonna be going out there, dogging this car, going around corners, and he's gonna need a lot of braking power, so StopTech's gonna handle that for him. Tanabe exhaust, that is old school JDM fresh. We all know Tanabe. This exhaust is gonna last the life of this car. It's gonna be really good, it's gonna sound good, and perform well. The stance of this car is so cool. This is a Toyota Supra, folks, one of the top 10 most collectible cars today on the market. These things gain value every single day. And this is a 6-speed shell, very rare. That's why we decided to keep it 6-speed with the help of Grannis, Tremec, and OS Geiken. So when you guys want to build yourself a Toyota Supra, make sure you check out Madavi Motorsports website so that you guys can get an idea of the pieces that it takes to make an awesome build like this for yourself. And like Pro EFI, Tweak Performance, those are products that you can obtain online for yourself and bolt this stuff up together. You may not be able to tune it yourself, a lot of you may be able to, but you can get help. They got awesome customer service and great tech support to help you guys in any way you want as far as tuning that Pro EFI. The interior is really cool. We're totally safe with these RCI race belts. We're gonna be installing the belt bar that's gonna be coming in soon, and that's gonna give us all the protection and confidence we need to go out on the streets and possibly, hopefully not get in trouble, but you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna go out there light to light and see what this thing can do. And those belts are gonna keep him totally safe just in case something happens and it gets out from under him. Well guys, from what Vic told me at Induction Performance, those 1mm oversized valves from Ferreira really made a difference on those dyno numbers and how the car rides. Man, the boys at DS18, Rob and Diego, they built an awesome sound system for this car. When you're going down the road, you can really feel the bass, you can hear the sound so crisp and clear. You guys are gonna absolutely love this kind of sound. And these racing belts from RCI really keep me in my place. They're awesome, they feel really good too. And let me tell you, this makes me feel at home. It reminds me of when we were racing Supras. And I'm glad I was able to give you the opportunity to take a look and see what it takes to build one of these legendary Supras right here on Sam's Garage. Now, we've got an owner lined up for this one, but I think I'm going to keep it for myself. This is very nice.
You know, whenever you come to SEMA, you always see a great display from Coca Tire. I'm here with Corky. Coca, so good to see you, buddy.
Sam, it's always good to be with you, my friend.
This guy's awesome. He comes up with some great things now. I know you always debut something new here. What you got?
This year, let me tell you, we've got the best of the best. You know, when we were restoring muscle cars 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you had to either have the bias-belted original Firestone wide ovals, or you went with some modern radial that didn't look right, didn't look authentic.
Right.
Well, we went from the original tread design in the Firestone wide oval to a radial tire. We built brand new molds using the old original tread.
Awesome.
Same siping on the sidewall, all the original graving, and it's now radial tires.
Still belted radial.
Still belted radial.
That's awesome for safety, for drivability, because if you've driven those old bias ply, polyester tires, they're all over the road. What about if you had like a goat with red lines?
Oh yeah, if you have a GTO and you want red lines, we've got that very same size, very same tread design, wide oval, and this very same tire. We do race white letter and red lines. And you know something, Sam? They're absolutely gonna they're gonna fly off the shelves because they're authentic. You got safety, you got durability, handling, and the look too.
And the look.
Just like you and I, we work hard, we do everything well, and we're also handsome.
You got a mouse in your pocket?
Yeah.
Anyway, the judge over here looks great. Those tires look like just the way it did when it came out of the showroom.
And you can't, standing from here at the SEMA show 2016, You look at this 70 model Judge GTO, it is absolutely a beautiful car, and you cannot tell that that's a radial tire.
That's right, absolutely. Comes up with great innovation all the time. When it comes to your ride and you're gonna put some shoes on it, Coker tire, only way to go. Good to see you, man.
Sam, always good to be with you, my friend.
Sam's Garage, presented by Lund International, has been brought to you by DS18. We like it loud. Appalachian Tourism. Virginia is for lovers. Bushwhacker, inventor of the fender flare. HE&M Saw, the saw that cuts straight. KBS Coatings. Rust stops here.
You guys, at my shop, every day, the biggest problem that we're seeing is dull, unsafe lights outside your vehicle at night. These are the coolest LEDs that you're gonna find. They've got infinite adjustability. They're from Lifetime LED. You can put that light anywhere you want in the housing. They've got that bright white look that's safer for you at night to be able to see. They've also got utility lights and light bulbs. They're located in South Utah so that they can easily ship anywhere in the country. And they're very simple to install, unlike normal HIDs where you got a lot of items. This is very simple plug and play, and you've got ones with more lumens that comes with a small ballast that's still very simple plug and play. Let me show you how simple it is to install one of these. Now this monster DS18 Supra takes a 9005 bulb. Very simple, twist out the old one, twist in the new one, just like that, and we plug it in. That is how easy it is to install these Lifetime LED bulbs, and they've got an application for every make and model out there.
It's time for the Lund International Custom Shop.
All right, check it out, guys. Anthony and I are going to be installing this Amp Research PowerStep XL, and check out the kit and what everything it comes with.
Yeah, we got linkages, electrical, hardware, everything you need.
We have installed the brackets that hold our XL rails on, and it's very important that you guys follow the instructions that come with it because it is application specific, correct?
Correct. Also on this application, we actually had to slightly modify the Bushwhacker fender flares to make clearance for the XL rail.
And what we're doing now is we're going to be installing the linkages that actually hold the steps in place. A couple of bolts on the bottom. There is a bolt on the side. With the spacer, you want to make sure that the spacer goes in between the bracket and the linkage itself.
The same brackets that we mounted the XL rails to are the same ones that we're mounting the linkages to as well.
There you go. Man, these are going to look really cool when they're done.
What we're going to do here as well is we'll get it snug up towards the top, but we won't get totally tight. So we're going to leave a little bit of movement so the rails, the step bars that we put on there, square up the linkages.
How are you looking over there?
I think we're ready to put the boards on. Yeah. And one thing that you want to do also is you want to look, and one thing that I'm noticing right now is you want to make sure the front linkage matches up with the position as the back linkage.
There you go.
So that's how you're going to see it drop into place and line up.
And the last thing you want to do is force anything in. Take your time, go slow, don't cross it or anything.
Right. And just like any other PowerStep, you don't want to totally tighten these down as well. Once you get them, all the threads started, good and started, that's when you're going to adjust the board position to make sure on the PowerStep XL that the steps actually are centered up in between the rail, the pocket in the rail.
All right, so this is where we're going to be installing the wire harness and the control unit. And this is the most important time to be looking at the instructions because the wire harness has a specific routing that it needs to go so that everything is properly in place down at the bottom. Don't try to hide the wires, make your own routing because then you're going to come either short or too long when you go down to your motors, okay?
One important step that we're going to want to do before we connect the harness is remove the fuse. This is just going to make sure that we're not actually doing anything electrical on the system while we're connecting this stuff.
That is a great tip. But you just can't forget to put the fuse back in.
Right.
Let's go ahead and
We got that.
hook up our positive and negative.
Positive's gonna go, it's gonna go red to red, black to black.
All right, now.
We're also gonna mount the controller right now, and it actually mounts right off of the battery right here, right in front of it on this particular application. One thing that I like to do, and I suggest that other people do, is to connect the controller to the harness before you mount that controller, because you're gonna wanna make sure that this connector is properly connected. And there's two locking tabs on either side that you gotta make sure that they engage. You'll hear it click, like that, and like that. Now it's hooked in. The harness on either side is gonna run right down the wheel well area and down along the outside of the frame. Once you get it down far enough, you can grab it from the bottom side and pull the rest through. So now that we got all the wiring done on the underside, we got the wires pushed up through the floor, through that grommet, we're gonna pop that sill plate on and pull the carpet up a little, and we're gonna find our trigger wires here. We just run these all the way up. Make sure those connected. The OBD2 plug can plug right into your OBD2 port. Now when you go to operate your steps, once we're done with the install, you're gonna notice after you shut the door that there's a little bit of a pause. This gives you enough time to get to the back of your cart to grab whatever you might need. Then the steps will go up.
That is one awesome look. You know, I would definitely be rocking this truck downtown for sure. AMP Research, innovation in motion. Man, that Supra turned out great. Another season in the bag.